The first question said to modify one of the demos so that we get this following star pattern that has this gradient on it. Alright, so here's the star pattern with the gradients. Okay, next up is question 2, and that one was pretty similar. It says to modify one of the demos to get this other star pattern here. And in order to do that, I used the vertex duplication. So here we go, we've got the different colors with the square in the middle. This was achieved by setting up these vertices so that each triangle was given its own color. In question 3, it said to modify the triangle position color demo so that as the changes here, so basically it swaps the color and position. And why doesn't it work? Well, the answer to that, so we can find that by looking at the notes where it talks about finding the correct byte alignment offset. Alright, so here you can see that this has the color on top followed by the position. Then if I go over here to the layout with the position, I told it to try to find it here at 16 bytes, and when I do that, the program works. And there we go. Okay, so then question 4 says to use the constant buffer in order to create this triangle that allows for the color to be changed when clicking on it. I did have some trouble with this one. So as you can see here, I've got the triangle, and when I click, it changes colors. However, I can't get the center to show up at the same time. I worked on that for a lot of hours, tried to make shaders, and it just didn't want to work. I just couldn't figure out how to render that middle part separately. So I've got the struct here, and I can make it all solid, of course. So I can make it all solid, but I can't, I just can't figure out how to get that square to render opposite. Okay, so then we have the further work where it asks us what's the difference. The first one says what's the difference between constant buffers and shader constants. So I believe that the answer that we're looking for here is going to be on this page where it talks about how the constant buffer is smaller, it can be changed at runtime, and it's not specifically connected to the pipeline, whereas the other one, create and keep them on a handle on the CPU, connect them to the pipeline, and update as needed. Clicking on this link takes me over to this page where it says that that shader constants can actually be organized into 2 types of buffers, the constant buffer and the texture buffer. So I just wanted to mention that. This question here where it says to change the code to have that, we want it to be this gray circle, but instead we get this other circle. And I believe the reason that happens is because of the numbers we're using here, because going back to the lecture notes, it talks about how it has this transition where it talks about how it interprets the data that it receives, and telling it that the center is at 400 and 300, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's the vertex that we're looking at.